I should be starting now.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We'll wait and see if some people come in, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We're just gonna wait around, see if some people have some questions before I answer some that we may have received. Try to give precedence to those who come into the live. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Uwais and Waco Bear. This is the link if anyone wants to come in and ask a live question or something, or share something about their learning Arabic, or maybe they live in Kuwait, who knows. I had asked after the last session we had if anyone had any questions about learning Arabic or living in Kuwait, or something that there's any question that maybe they might want to benefit from. And we received a few comments, but before that one, I had received one previous to that. Let me go here to my phone. Again, if you type in your comment, like for instance, Uwais Naeem had put his comment, or you said Salaam Alaikum, I can put your name and your comment up there and we can address it. Or you can click and copy this link from the comment section, and you can join us live here. I see there's 14 people in here. I just answered, inshallah, a question that I had received 2 weeks ago. It said that I had mentioned in one of my videos regarding my library, an Islamic Educational Institute in Kuwait. Could you possibly expand on that institute and how knowledge is taught there, as well as Kuwait in general? If the classes are primarily in classrooms, or there are lessons available in halaqat as well, madhab and general curriculum followed, cost of study and living. Jazakallah khairan. This was from someone, Abdeezy, Abdeezy. I don't know. Anyway, first, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And we would say the Islamic Educational Institute that I mentioned in Kuwait is called the Islamic Cultural Center of Kuwait. That's ICCKW. They're on Facebook. They're on Twitter. They have a YouTube channel. I'm not sure if they have Instagram, but I know that they have a YouTube channel. They have Facebook. They have Twitter. I believe Facebook. And if you go there, then you can find out more about that institute. As a brief overview, then what they used to do, and everything is on hold right now because of COVID, traveling, being able to get visas for people to stay here. Kuwait, to start with, it's not like, say, America, from my point of view anyway, being an American, where I could just go and spend the time there. You would actually need a visa and you'd have a certain amount of time to stay, probably for foreigners. Likewise, in Kuwait, you need a visa, and then the maximum time you can stay is 3 months. You would have to leave out and come back on a visitor's visa. So, what they used to do is organize a program, and the program would be 3 months. They bring you in, you stay for the entire 3 months. And inside this Islamic Cultural Center of Kuwait, Markaz al-Thaqafi al-Islami, then oh wait, it says your devices are not connected. I don't know if that means your camera or your audio or what, but I can't add you in unless you connect a device somehow. Allow audio or video, I'm not sure. So anyway, inside this Islamic Cultural Center, while he figures that out, as I said, they bring you in for 3 months. In the very beginning, they used to pay for the tickets for the person, and they used to give them an allowance while they were here. And they would bring around 100 to 150 students from all over the world: Russia, China, Korea, Africa, all different parts of Africa, West Africa, East Africa, South Africa, North Africa, Europe, right? I was the only one from America there, but there were some people who came from Canada, and I was the only one from America, but I lived here. Tafsir al-Quran. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. So anyway, they bring you here and they would give you a stipend. Eventually it came that they bring you here, but they didn't give you a stipend. And that's what it ended up like, that they bring you, they give you housing, they give you food, and everything is provided for you. Basically, you don't need anything unless you want to go buy books, you want to go buy thobes, you want to go buy oils, you want to go buy gifts, all of this, then that's on you. But they give you everything you need. If you came with nothing, you could survive. And these students would live 3 or 4 in a room, a big room, nice room, mashallah. And there would be a lot of rooms empty where they stayed at, even though they stayed far away from the main city. They stay in a Boy Scout building. This built for the Boy Scouts. They got basketball courts, tennis courts, indoor swimming pool. It's a big place, and they lived in 3-4 big rooms. So even if, for example, the bathroom was full, you just go to an empty room down the hall and use their bathroom or shower. It was never a problem. Washing machines on there, a masjid on the campus, classrooms in the campus, but the main classroom was in another masjid. So classes were 6 days a week, Saturday through Thursday. Jummah was a day off. Classes would be from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then for those who live in the place where the Boy Scouts were, I lived in Kuwait, so I didn't live with them. I lived with my wife and my family and my son, my wife and my son. But for those who lived there, then they would also have classes at night from around 5 p.m. till 8 p.m. So they would get around 8 hours of study in a day. And the levels of the students were basically, there were 4 different beginner levels. Aleph, basically A, B, C, D, basically. Maybe A is someone who knows nothing. They don't know Aleph, Ba, Ta. B, someone who knows how to read, but not that well. C would be, someone who knows how to read, but doesn't understand anything. D, they started to understand a little bit, like this. Then there's level 1. That was the beginner's level. Then there's level 1. And then there they had 2 levels. One was more level, B was more advanced than A. And then They had level 2. Level 2 had 2 levels sometime. In level 1 and level 2, everything is in all Arabic. You study Aqidah, you study fiqh, you study hadith, you study nahu, you study Quran, you study tafsir. You had 6, 7, 8 different subjects. I don't remember them all off the top of my head right now. Quran, memorization, tafsir, hadith, aqidah, fiqh, nahu, sirah, and maybe one more if I'm correct. So I'll get to the question, inshallah, from Tafsir Quran and Waco Bear, inshallah. I want to finish talking about the Marquez first. So the Marquez worked like this: 6 days a week, 8 hours a day. You had people who spoke only Arabic, they didn't know any English, and you had people who didn't know anything. By the end of the 3 months, if you came not knowing Aleph, Ba, Ta, Tha, Jim, Ha, Kha, you could walk away having a simple conversation. Simple, how are you, where are you going, where are you from, like this. You could have a simple conversation. And then what they would do is, if you excelled, they would bring you back for the next level or whatever level you were able to get into. So technically a person could come 4 or 5 times for that program. It was held for 3 months, twice a year. So you would do one in the wintertime and one in the fall and one in the spring. The wintertime would be a break and the summer would be a break. So you could come 3 months, go somewhere else for 3 months, or go home. I met many students. Some of them would go to Jordan and study for 3 months. And when the program came, they would come back to Kuwait. And then they would go back, or they would go to Misr. And then they would come back to Kuwait, when the program opened up the next time. And they did like this. One brother went to Maghrib in the summertime. Like this. People from all over the world. So that's that program. Unfortunately, though, with COVID, that it doesn't exist right now except online. It does have some stuff online if you understand Arabic. Again, ICC dot or ICCKW. I'm not sure about where the dot would go. ICCKW. Okay, so that's how things go there. The classes are in classrooms at that place. However, sometimes Mashaykh will come and something might be in for all the levels in one place, sometimes with the translation, sometimes with not, in the masjid. Are there halaqat in Kuwait? I'm not sure what the person understood by halaqat, if there's a bunch of circles around, or like, for instance, in the masjid, learning knowledge in Kuwait, Islamic knowledge in Kuwait is done in the masjid, which is the origin, the foundation of the matter. And you go to the masjid, the sheikh has a chair, he sits, you sit on the floor. Or if you need a chair because you're older or bigger, then you sit in a chair and you can learn. But is it a halaqah? Is it a circle? No, it's just a bunch of people facing the qibla taking notes from the sheikh. The madhab of Kuwait, the official madhab of Kuwait is Maliki. However, most scholars here are Hanbali and they teach the Hanbali madhab. Although, if you ask them about the different madhab, they tell you what the answer is because they're not blind followers of any particular madhab. The cost of studying in Kuwait is nothing. Basically, almost nowhere in Kuwait charges. Almost nowhere in Kuwait charges for knowledge. In fact, like I said, they'll bring you, and if they can, give you a stipend and pay for everything while you're here. When we have programs and they're teaching Sahih al-Bukhari, then they'll give you Sahih Bukhari on the first day. Right? They'll give you Sahih al-Bukhari on the first day. So to study here is cheap. You just have to be able to live. To live here, I've never lived anywhere else except I stayed in Misr for a short time. Compared to Misr, then here is expensive, very expensive. But compared to the United States, it's could in some places be cheaper. Like I'm sure living in Kuwait is cheaper than New York and DC and LA. But it's more important than living in, say, the Midwest where I'm from, St. Louis, Missouri. So at minimum, a person would need with his family, and they're not going to eat out. They're going to eat rice and bread and chicken, and they're going to cook every day. a person would need around $1,500 a month, $1,500 a month minimum to live in Kuwait. And if they have kids that they're going to put in schools and so forth, it's going to go up. But lessons are usually after Maghrib and Isha. Sometimes you find a sheikh who teaches after Fajr, but mostly lessons are after Maghrib and Isha. Let's go here. How long did you live in Kuwait? Waco Bear says, I still live in Kuwait, Waco Bear. I'm still here. I've been here for 10 years. I started coming in 2009 to organize a program with another brother who was born here, but he now lives in the States. We started organizing a program. We came here to set up some things. I came for 2 weeks in October of 2009, and late December of that same year, we came and I spent 2 months here, shortly over 2 months. Then I came back again in 2011 for 2 months, almost 2 months. In 2012, almost 2 months. The program in 2012, they allowed women and children to come, so I brought my wife and my son with me. And while we were here, we found a job and we went home for about 2 months, and we moved maybe a month to 2 months, and we turned around and we moved right back to Kuwait, and we've been here since that time. Wace, I don't know what's going on with you, but unless you connect the device, I cannot add you in. It says you will need to connect your cam and your mic before you can be added to the stream. Wildflower says, Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. I really appreciate your efforts, especially the Mektaba series. Naam Jazakallah khair. And I enjoy the Mektaba series. It makes me go through the books, and I have a pretty big library in case you people haven't seen it. And there's more than that you just seen. But some books got put on the shelf without going through the table of contents and introductions like I should have. And I may forget I even have that book, whereas going through these, doing this My Mektaba series kind of forces me to go through them. And at the same time, it introduces a whole new world to people who are not in the Mektaba scene. Okay, Tafsir Quran. He says, should I learn directly Arabic grammar from Quran? My purpose is not to speak Arabic, but be able to understand and read Arabic. First off, you don't need to learn Arabic grammar yet. I'm not saying you can't study it, but that should not be your main focus. If you do not know Arabic, then you do not need. If I start speaking, I want show you learn Arabic how my channel yesterday, Tuesday, PM 5. I messed all my words up, but you can kind of gather. I want to teach you how to learn Arabic. Even though I said yesterday, I said Tuesday, then I said PM 5 PM. Even though I messed that all up, and that has to do with grammar. What's the subject? What's the predicate? What's the object of the verb? So on and so forth. You understood that. If you don't have vocabulary, you can know what's the maf'ulun bihi and the maf'ulun fihi and all. You can know all of that. And it's not going to benefit you if you don't have vocabulary. So you should be studying vocabulary. That should be your main focus until you learn Arabic. Once you learn and you can understand a little bit better, then you can start working on the grammar. But grammar is for Arabs. Arabic grammar is for Arabs. When you're in English school, I'm older. I don't know what they do today, but they didn't start teaching us subject and predicate and object and all that till 5th grade. Maybe they do it in 4th grade now, maybe even 3rd. But even if we said 3rd, that's someone that's 8 years old and they've been hearing English all around them for an entire 8 years before they enter into start studying subject and predicates and so on and so forth. And if we say 5th grade, then that's 10 years. They've been speaking for 6 years because you start talking around 2. So 2 to 8, they've been speaking for 6 years and haven't learned grammar yet. Then they start to learn grammar. Likewise with the Arabic language, people put stuff they put the cart in front of the horse, as it is said. But build vocabulary from the Quran, of course. You should understand the Quran. You should pick up 40 hadith, understand it like this. Pick up Hisnul Muslim, the book of du'as, understand it, right? And don't just focus on only the Quran. And I'm not saying the Quran is first and foremost, but also the Quran was sent with an explanation, and that is the Sunnah of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So study the Sunnah as well. Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Sunan Abi Dawud. And if you want to start with smaller books, Arba'in al-Nawawiyya, Umdat al-Ahkam, Bulugh al-Maram, Riyadh al-Salihin, like this. Definitely the purpose is whenever Quran or Hadith is recited, you should understand it clearly. Of course, that's the main focus. I want to understand Fawzan. I want to call Fawzan and ask him a question. I want to go to Riyadh and see Fawzan and ask him a question. But I first want to understand my Lord. That's more important. How can someone live in Kuwait long term? You have to have a job. You have to get a job here. If you get a job here, then you can live here long term. But you won't be able to just come and not have a job. Someone in your family is going to have a job. You, if you're a male, then your wife doesn't necessarily have to work. Or if your wife is willing to work and you don't want to work, then you could do that, right? When will you be navigating through the Hans Ware? Wallahi, I don't know, man. I would really like to do that, but I have a few projects I need to knock out of the way first. I am trying to finish up a book for print before Ramadan, and I would like to also knock out a few of the other things, such as Mu'allam Sunnah al-Nabawiyya or Mu'allam Sunnah al-Nabawiyya by Saleh Ashami. I would like to knock that out as well first, and I would like to knock out the 100 Hadith, both the explanation of Sheikh Salam, if possibly the explanation of Sheikh Khalid al-Qahtani, and if we can, still go over the word for word meanings of them. And then that would be a complete program for people wanting to learn Arabic through reading. So I want to do this. I definitely want to go over to Hans Ware, though. That's a project. It's just long term. Let's see here. Okay. Let's go away. I'll try to go in order, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan for all your work. I've benefited tremendously and ask Allah to accept it for you and bless you and your family. My question is, I've been listening and reading. That's all I see. Wayakum, inshallah, we'll keep putting out. He said, but it says my question, I've been listening and reading. Okay. But I often forget words after translating them. Should I also focus on memorizing vocabulary on a daily basis? How should we incorporate memorization? Okay, that's related to this question. May Allah bless you, Sheikh. I'm not a Sheikh. I'm just your brother, right? What is the best way to retain vocabulary? Okay. Memorization is nothing but repetition. That's it. That's all it is. Memorization is nothing more than repetition. So how do you memorize? You repeat. Some ayat, they require you to repeat it 3 times and you got it. Qul huwallahu ahad, maybe 3 times, you got it. Right? Ayatul Kursi might take 100 times to get that all in one big block. Right? 100 times maybe. Or each phrase might be 10, 15, 20 times out of the 10 phrases of Ayatul Kursi. And then you got to tie them together. So, I mean, you might end up repeating Ayatul Kursi 500 times before you memorize it. But how did you memorize it? You repeated it. And that's what you have to do. You take a book. All right, this little book. Fits in my hand. It's a small book. You don't move on. You start reading this book and you don't move on until you understand it. When you look it up in the Hans Ware dictionary or whatever dictionary you use, then don't write it in the book. That's going to spoil you. But you looked it up. Now you know what it means. Okay, now you finished the book. Okay, and you know what? Now I want to go to this book because this book is the next book on my list, right? No, that book is later. Maybe I read a page or two of it, but this book, I need to keep reading this book until I understand this book without using the dictionary. I need to repeat until I understand it. Maybe I don't even read the whole book. Maybe I just read the first chapter over and over and over and over until I understand it. There's no sense in moving on from book to book to book and you don't remember or you're not retaining what you read. You can't pick it up again and reread it. Oh yeah, I read Kitab al-Tawheed. But if I told you, okay, read chapter 2 and tell me what it means. Oh, I don't know. I did it back then. I needed my dictionary, but I moved on now. No, you moved on for what? Stay on that until you got it. Stay on chapter 1 of Kitab al-Tawheed and keep reading it till you understand it, till you know what first he said an ayat, then he said 2 hadith, or he said 2 ayat, then 1 hadith. You know what's coming. Right? You know how to set. That's how you learn. A kid, many times he might have a whole shelf full of books that you read to him at night before bed, but he has that favorite book and he has it memorized. And when he's playing with his toys or she's playing with her toys, she's maybe telling a story to her doll or his doll or whatever they play with. Right? From memory. This is how it works. This is how it works. You have to repeat. That's how you're going to get it. As for having a daily set where I go through and find some words, this is fine. But if they're not in a context, you're probably not going to memorize them. You're not going to remember them tomorrow if they don't have a context to them. It's just an abstract word that has nothing to do with anything that's related to you. There's no benefit in that, as far as I'm concerned. Not saying you can't do it. You can look at words and become familiar, but at the same time, the best thing is to read and repeat. Let's say read, rinse, repeat, something like that. I don't know. Okay, is Kuwaitization affecting jobs for expats? Of course. I mean, they're trying to take care of their country, and the emir, the prince of this country, is responsible for his people first and foremost. It's his people and it's their country, so he's responsible for them first and foremost, and everybody else is secondary. So if he needs to give them jobs and kick out expats, then that's what he needs to do. It's sad to say I'm an expat. I wish I could be here forever, but it's probably not the case, right? It's probably not the case. And for people who get upset with that, then I tell them, you know what? I'm coming to live in your house. I'm packing my suitcase. I'm coming to sit in your. No, you ain't coming to live in my house, man. Yeah, I am. What in? No. Listen, same thing with Kuwait. Kuwait's house is he just got a big house. He's got 4 million people living with him, and he can control who comes in his house and who doesn't come in his house, how long they stay in his house, and when they got to go out of his house. That's his job. And alhamdulillah, we don't have that type of responsibility. So we don't have to answer to Allah on the day of judgment if we make a right or wrong decision. This is a heavy responsibility that they carry. And so does it affect expats? Yes. But if you're good at what you do and you pick a profession that is needed, for example, there's some Kuwaitis that speak English better than me. They studied in America, went to Princeton, did this and that. They might speak English better than me, but the schools are always going to want a native English speaking person teaching English to their kids, even if there's a Kuwaiti that can fill that job. And if they get to the point where they'll take even a Kuwaiti to fill that job, that's a long way away, and I'll be retired or dead by then. Omar Lameen, walaikum salam. I'm trying to go back up here to some of the questions. Sorry, give me a second here. As far as, as you asked about reading, you've been listening and reading, same thing. Listen to that lecture over and over and over until you understand it. Is there any book for vocab precisely you would recommend? Man, word for word for the Noble Quran. You want to study Quran, you want to understand Quran, you should be getting word for word, whether it be the Dar es Salaam version or whether it be the Mohar Ali version. And if you start to understand Arabic, then you should get Al-Mukhtasar fi Tafsir or Tafsir Al-Muyassar. and start to understand that. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, but you know, Oasis, you said you had your camera, but or your mic on, but not the camera. But for some reason, it didn't come through. Your top 3 books in Arabic: Quran, Bukhari, and Muslim. Right? uh, I can. I mean, the Quran, Bukhari, and Muslim, and Thalathatul Usul is an important book. Thalathatul Usul, as simple as it is, it's really not that simple. It can be simple and it can be complicated. It can be very easy that you teach it for children, and you can make it where to stump an adult because of what it contains and how it can be taught. And I don't mean stump them because I made it complicated unnecessarily. No, it contains a lot of information that, you know, it's not just on face value, you know, so simple. No, it's also a very deep intellectual book, and it's important. So Thalathatul Usul, man, Quran, Tafsir, yeah, Quran. Let me see here. How do you translate and format books to then publish? I was trying to translate some books of the ulama of Hind, which are in Urdu. I just do it in Word. I do everything in Word. Even my book covers are in Word. I just hired somebody to do a book cover for me for a book I'm doing for Ramadan, just because I was getting stumped for some reason on this particular book. Normally I come up with an idea quick, but for some reason my mind just wasn't doing it. But normally I do everything in Word and then turn it into a PDF and then send it to the printers. They put the bleeds on there and all that for me. Let me see here. Let me go back up for a second. Put my other comment. This is the comment if anyone wants to come in and ask a question or share something. Okay, as for using the Hansware dictionary, I mentioned this before. And you can't do it with the app. That's the difficult thing. But when you look up an entry in the Hansware dictionary, you should say overline that word. And I say overline because the Salaf used to overline, the Kuffar underline. When you come upon an ayat of sajda in the Quran, is the ayat or the part of the ayat that requires sajda, is it overlined or underlined? Right, it's overlined. So the Muslims, they overline. But it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't mean, oh, you're a kafir because you underline. No, but the scholars of the past and Sheikh up to the time of Sheikh al-Albani, they speak about overlining. So when you look up a new entry, a new word for the first time, overline that word. Then if you come across that word again and you don't know it, when you go to look it up, you'll see that you looked it up previously. And so because it has an overline on it, and so you overline it again. Right? And then if you come across that word and you don't know what it means and you have to look it up, you'll see that I looked up this word twice and I still didn't remember it. So then you might put a star by it. And you can either do this one more time or you can do it now and say, right now, I'm going to make sure, like I put this word in my pocket and I'm going to look at it and I'm going to look at it until I remember this word. I'm going to try to write it in 2-3 different sentences. I'm going to try to find it in the Quran, attach it to something I know, right? Or you can put the star on it. And if you look it up a 4th time, then you know, hey, this word's important. You know, maybe you look up a word and you only underline it and you don't remember it, but you only overline it once. And you don't see that word again for 5 years. Well, that word's not going to appear in your vocabulary a lot. But if you keep looking up a word and you haven't memorized it and you keep having to look it up, then this word is obviously something that's important to what you're reading. And so therefore, you'll know that by making a note of that in your dictionary. If you want to put a little tick next to it, like, you know, 4 lines in the cross out, whatever you do, but put some type of notice in there so that you can use your dictionary better. Let me go down here. Assalamu alaikum. Is reading in Arabic side by side with the translation a good way to pick up vocabs? Yeah, depending on your level. Depending on your level, if you start seeing yourself not needing the translation as much, then get it out of your way so that you're not handicapping yourself. But if you need it side by side, then we've printed a book recently. Muawiyah, bring me that book, huh? Guidance for Mankind. We printed a book recently side by side. It's available in UK and in the States. I got lots of questions. I'm trying to get to them, everybody. I'm sorry.
Which one is it?
The white one, Guidance for Mankind. Yes. Religion of Islam. This book we just recently published. You can see it's Arabic side by side, and we even put the vowels in it. May not be clear, but yeah, so we did this book recently. So if that's what you need to do, and that's why we did it, for someone who's on that level. But hopefully you can get past that level, inshallah. Let's see here. Again, this link on the screen right now, if someone wants to come in and ask a question or add to what we're saying, then they're welcome to do so. R says, Assalamu alaikum, is reading in Arabic. Okay, I just answered it. I'm sorry. Bah Abdullahi. Assalamu alaikum, my name is Bah Abdullahi Bah. I would like to study the Quran as soon as well as the Arabic language in Kuwait. How would you help me to see my dream come true? The last time I contacted you, I gave my WhatsApp line, but I didn't get a reply from you. I'm from Freetown, Sierra Leone, West Africa. I'm currently living here in Freetown. This is my WhatsApp. Okay. Well, the problem is you got to get a job here, and I don't have a way to help you do that unless you have a degree in education where I could forward it to some people I know that work in schools. Then I'm not going to be able to help you get a job no matter where you're from. And being from Africa, we know that living in the Khalij, living in the Gulf countries, and getting a visa into those countries is difficult for many countries, even if they're predominantly Muslim, Allah Musta'an. But you're going to have to get a job. That's how you're going to make your dream come true, right? If that's your dream to come study here in Kuwait. But learning Arabic is hard in Kuwait because, number one, they don't have institutes like Egypt does, and they don't have the 2-year Arabic program like the University of Medina and University of Qurra and Muhammad ibn Saud and other than them. They don't have that. But if you already know Arabic, then living here is a dream for a student, because there are so many classes and the ability to get close to the mashayikh is just incredible. But if you don't know Arabic, it can be difficult on you because there are no real ways to learn. You're going to struggle. It's going to take you longer than a traditional way that you might find in other countries, like I said, Misr, or if you're able to get in a university in Saudi. However, so that's difficult. Plus, everybody speaks English. Most people speak English and they want to practice their English with you. And you got to like say, hey, man, I'm not here to speak English. I want to learn Arabic, right? Omar Amin says, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. What's your take on Al-Ma'ani Arabic online dictionary? Oh, it's great. I use the Arabic portion of it, but I know that they have Arabic, English, and other languages. But it's a great resource. I use it every day. After watching some of your Mektaba series, I want to build a library. Do you know a waqf that would have free books available in Kuwait that I could write? Just write to the Awqaf in general. And tell them who you are, what you're doing. If you're not a student of a university, though, they're probably not going to give them to you. If you were to come to Kuwait in person and ask, they might give it to you, even if you're not a student. They probably would. Well, they might say no, but probably not. But just writing online and asking for a library. Well, I don't mean to ridicule you or put you or anyone else down, but I take advantage of free books whenever I get them. But I also buy books. I buy books more than I get free books. And We can't just ask for books. Alhamdulillah, if we can get them, but if you want a library, you're gonna have to build it. Just asking for someone for books, they're only gonna give you what they print anyway, and what the Okaf prints is limited here in Kuwait. Qatar has an Okaf, Saudi has the Legend to Daima, and you can get those books if you're a student, if you have some type of bachelor's degree, Islamic studies, this and that. If you're a masjid, imam of a masjid, something like this, then they may give you the books, or they may give them to the masjid, and then you have access to them. But just asking someone for free stuff, uh, and only expecting to build a library from free stuff, you're gonna have holes all in your library, because they're gonna give you what they give you. They're not gonna give you what you want. They're gonna give you what you want from what they have available, but that's not gonna be everything that you want. And so you're gonna have to buy books. That's just what people have to do. Simplest, fastest way of building vocab in Arabic, reading. That's why I got my channel, right? That's why I got my channel. Just read. That's the only way. And keep reading. Keep reading. Okay, Waco Bear says, I can understand the Arabic that I listen to and read, but I always translate it into English in my head, so I find it difficult to remember the Arabic what I just read. How do I remember it? Keep going over it. Keep going, go over it faster. Keep going over it. And eventually the Arabic will take over. It used to happen to me all the time, and probably still does somewhat. But now when I find something like, for example, even a book I'm translating, I make mistakes in the English of the translation and don't even recognize it, because even when I'm reading the English, I see the Arabic in my head. I'm not saying that my Arabic is taking over my brain like that, but in some things, if you keep doing it, it will take over. Yeah, Ustad, I'm just your brother, right? When are you going to continue to upload a Hadith series? I'm really benefiting soon, inshallah. I want to finish some stuff that I'm preparing for Ramadan, and then I want to work on it, inshallah. Let's see, you fixed Hadith there. How do you achieve proficiency in reading without tashkil? Again, just reading. You can get to the point where you can read without dots. You can get to the point where you can read without dots. You just have to memorize the words. You just read, 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 read. You know, you just have to read. And the more you read, the easier it becomes. I know it sounds like, I remember saying to myself, how could I read something I don't understand? Just keep reading and you will. That's what little kids do. They keep hearing. They don't know what words are, but they keep seeing, they keep hearing and seeing enough words put in context, and it will fall into place. So if that means you got to watch cartoons, watch cartoons. We say, well, I know, but find a cartoon without music and watch it, right? And this is something that you might have to do. And that's how kids learn English. That's how they learn whatever language they learn. Farouk Azdi, Jazakallah khairan wa yakum. How is it making hijrah to Kuwait? Well, I don't think you can actually, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I don't think you can actually make hijrah to Kuwait, because you're not going to be here forever. You have to have a job, and if you don't have a job, you're out, right? And when you reach a certain age, they're not going to keep letting you have a job. And so when you reach 65 or something, then you're out. Right? So you're never ever going to make really hijrah, but you can live here as long as you can, as long as Allah decrees, and it's great. Alhamdulillah, I know Arabic and I have a degree in civil engineering. I would love to move to Kuwait to study with the Mashaykh. What do you recommend? I recommend you go online and look up jobs in Kuwait for a civil engineer and put in your application. Put in your application. A lot of people left Kuwait during COVID, so there's jobs. Give me 1 second, Awais. So I'm making my basic knowledge. It will not look as if I'm a stranger. I have basic knowledge in Arabic, and it will not look as if I'm a stranger in the Arabic language. So if there's any way you can help me, then I appreciate it. I already told you, I can't help you. You have to get a job. There's no way into Kuwait except with a job. You could apply for the University of Kuwait, but University of Kuwait has a rule that if you are out of high school longer than 2 years, you cannot apply. So you have to apply within 2 years of graduating from high school to get into Kuwait University. Other than that, there is no way into Kuwait except with a job. I cannot help you. I myself have a kafil. I have a sponsor. You have to have a job. That's it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Which Islamic science are you most interested in? It depends on the time of the day or the day. Sometimes it's tafsir and sometimes it's hadith. And if I probably had to choose right now, get rid of your tafsir books or your hadith books, I'd probably get rid of tafsir and keep hadith. But it'd be hard. It'd be a tie. Can you start listening to Durus in Arabic without proficiency in the language? Will it be harmful to the deen? No. Start listening. Listening is the second most needed skill. In learning any language, you need 4 skills: reading, listening, conversating, and writing. In that order. You need reading the most, then you need listening, and then you need conversating, and then you need writing. When you first start learning a new language, for example, when you first started learning Arabic, before you learned to read the Quran, you didn't know what was the beginning of a word and what was the end of a word. You didn't know any of that. Then you learned, okay, if I see a tanween, that's definitely the end of a word. And if I see, for example, a scene with the open belly in the back, then that's the end of a word, because I know if it's in the beginning or the middle, then it connects to something. So you start to learn certain things. Same way with listening. Maybe when you first start hearing Arabic, all you hear is you don't understand anything. But as you continue to listen, then the words will start to become crisp, and they will start to become individual words. You may not know what they all mean, but they will become individual words that you can pick out. And the more you pick out words, then the more you'll start to understand them. And then there'll be words, then at the end, there'll just be 1 or 2 words you didn't understand, and you'll even be able to remember those words. Whereas in the beginning, you heard 1,000 words and you don't even remember any of those words to go look up. Whereas you'll find yourself later on that there was only 5 words I didn't understand, and I remember 3 of them. I can go look them up like this. I'm going to let Uwais in the room and see what question or what he has to share.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakumullah khair. Sorry, I was trying to join before, and I think I didn't give permissions to the mic or the camera.
No
but
problem.
yeah, just wanted to repeat what I said in the chat. Barakallahu feek for all of your efforts. And really, I've personally been benefiting tremendously. So I hope, inshallah, you can continue doing this in the foreseeable future.
Inshallah. No.
So to follow up, I guess, on my question. So you're saying that the best way to learn vocabulary, even better than memorizing, is repetition, because memorization is just repetition, right? So the more
Correct.
you read something, the more you encounter these words, the more you will have to look them up, and you'll just naturally start remembering them.
Exactly.
Right.
What's your name?
Awais, no.
When's the last time you forgot that?
I don't think I ever forgot my name.
Right, but maybe, and even if you haven't done it, but maybe you know people who do. They forgot their phone number because they don't. We used to write our phone numbers down in little books and carry them around with us, and now everything is inside the cell phone. So some people don't even remember their own phone numbers because they never used their phone number. They remember their mom's number, their friend's number, their cousin's number, but they don't remember their own number because they don't use it.
Right.
So, and that's their own phone number. They pay the bill every month, but they don't remember it. But you remember the person that you call every day because you use his number every day, and that's repetition.
Right. SubhanAllah.
So memorize it. When you write a list of 10 words and you want to memorize them, what do? You repeat them, right?
Right.
Some of them you repeat 5 times, some of them you repeat 500 times. Well, why memorize words outside of their context? Because that doesn't make sense anyway. Memorize them inside of a context by reading.
Yeah, I've tried memorizing lists, and it's like what you said. You might remember words in association with other words better, even if, like, let's say you don't know 3 words, but they turn up together. You look up their translations individually. You'll probably remember those 3 words together much better than if you ran across those three words separately and tried to memorize them separately. So
Correct. Correct.
context helps a lot. I had a follow-up question to that,
Yeah.
which was so like what you're saying, if the goal is to understand Quran, right? The goal to learning Arabic is to understand the Quran and understand the religion. Then would you recommend first just reading as much of the Quran with translation as possible to get that vocabulary, then moving on to the next thing, which would maybe be like Sahih Bukhari, or go to one of those tafsir you mentioned, like Mukhtasar or Al Muyassar?
Well, you know, it's obvious from your picture earlier, or you know, even your voice. You're a grown man, and as adults, we're not going to have the patience to just sit and read the translation, you know, the Quran translation of the ayat back and forth, and never read anything else. We're just not going to have. Maybe you could make a kid sit down and do that, but you can't make an adult do that. He has too many other pursuits and goals that he wants to fulfill and complete, you know.
Yeah, there's too much
So,
curiosity. You can't just
right,
keep
but
rereading the same thing.
well, you have to do that, but that doesn't mean you can't read other things. I'm not saying, for instance, pick up Thalathatul Usul and read it till you understand it. That doesn't mean the only thing you read is Thalathatul Usul. No, but every day you need to spend a half hour reading Thalathatul Usul. Now, can I pick up another book? Can I pick up a magazine? Can I pick up this or that? Yes, do that too. But at the same time, every day is Thalathatul Usul. Now, you know, reading the newspaper, reading an online news article, or reading whatever it is, whatever other book you want to read, you're going to get some vocabulary. It's going to be like a word list. Maybe you remember it, maybe you don't, but you're still getting exposed to it, you know, versus every day, though, I need to be reading Thalathatul Usul. Sheikh Ibn Baz, rahimahullah, he knew Arabic, right? But he read Thalathatul Usul every week just because of its importance. You know what I mean? And we're talking about Thalathatul Usul. So
Right.
a person, you know, you're never going to get rid of that book. But, you know, we're talking about trying to learn the Arabic language, then keep reading it until you understand it. If you were to read Thalathatul Usul, which is very basic Arabic, the ayat, the hadith, you know, would you be able to understand it all? Maybe not. I don't know your level of Arabic, but I'm saying, you know, a beginner's not going to be able to, but he should read that book until he's able to understand it and then move on to Qawaid al-Arba. Maybe he reads Qawaid al-Arba once a week and he reads Thalathatul Usul every day. So by the time he understands Thalathatul Usul, he's already got 30-40% of Qawaid al-Arba, and he makes Qawaid al-Arba his everyday book, and he makes Kitab al-Tawheed his once a week book. You understand? So
Right.
you
So
can have
there
other
can be a
books on the side,
program.
but you need to have something that you're repeating every day.
I got it. So maybe a good way is to have a program of repetition so that you're kind of going through new things and repeating old things at the same time, and you keep
Correct.
doing that.
Yeah, so you
Now,
don't get bored. Like, you know, you don't get bored. Read. There's a book called Al-Fiqh al-Muyassar, Easy Fiqh. It's a nice book, man. If you can get a hold of it, there's a PDF online, I know. Fiqh al-Muyassar. It's also a good book. You can be learning, you know, the basics of, you know, tahara and salat and zakat and all of these things, you know, instead of learning jarh wa ta'dil and so and so. Not, you know, that is for the scholars, but not for us, you know.
barakallah fiqh. Jazakumullah
Fikum
khair.
barak. Allah yabarak fikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay. Jazakallah khairan ways. Let's see. You asked me, when I say hadith, do I mean mustalah hadith or collections? I mean collections of hadith, explanations of the hadith. Mustalah hadith is a science it's called ilm al-ala. It's a tool to understand the hadith. It's not the goal in and of itself. You have ilm al-ala, the tools, like Arabic language is a tool. We don't want to become so good in Arabic that, you know, we write dictionaries. Who cares about a dictionary? We want to be able to understand the Quran and the Sunnah, you know. So you don't want to become a grammarian like this, you know. You want to become, we love Sibawayh, you know. We love his teachers and so on, but we don't really remember them. We remember Bukhari and most for the religion. So Mustalah Hadith is a tool, a science that's a tool to learn and understand the Hadith. So we don't want to get caught up too much in those things where we start, you know, I start showing you all my different types of hammers and wrenches and all this, but I don't build nothing with it, right? Are the mektabas in Kuwait expensive? If not, what's the process of shipping in bulk? Shipping, I don't know where it would be too, but you could get shipping by container. Right now, shipping is outrageous to America, at least. Uh, but you could get shipping by container. But it's more expensive than Saudi and more expensive than Misr, right? And the cheapest place to probably get books is Beirut from the publishers themselves or from Misr. But for me, it's where I live at, so it's just easier for me to do that. My age is 33. How can I join in Mektaba of Kuwait? I don't understand that question. Saeed Mahmoud, I don't understand your question. How can I join the Mektaba of Kuwait? Sifat the Safa is very expensive. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Wildflower, if you give me, I'm assuming you might be in America. If you give me a comment on my YouTube channel, then I will send you my WhatsApp. And when I send back translations of books, I usually send back big volumes. I don't send back individual books, but I might send back big sets like Fatul Bari or big sets of books that I can sell cheap enough to make a little bit of profit for me and cheap enough, which is cheaper than Sufat to Safwa and stuff like that for people in America. And it helps me to pay for the books that we send back and distribute for free. Word for word helps a lot with understanding the vocabulary of the Quran. Exactly. Are there any books available on the most common words, phrases used in Arabic? Of course. You just have to look those books up. There's plenty of them. I think Duolingo has a couple of them. There's plenty of them. 2,000 most, my first 1,000 vocabulary words, 2,000 most used words in Arabic. Plenty of books. Here's just telling you, Waco Bear. There's a memorized course with the 5,000 most common Arabic words, which might be helpful. No. Okay, wildflowers in the UK. I send back books to the UK too, to London, to the brothers in Brixton Masjid. But they say, man, go to Dar Mecca in Birmingham. They ship too. Dar Mecca in Birmingham has a lot of good Arabic books, and they're at decent prices. Okay, anything else? Anybody? I'm going to answer a few more questions I had here. I'll put that link back up there. Let me see here. I'll try to go through these so I'm not rude to anyone. Recommend some authors who have easy Arabic and books on different sciences. Uthaymeen's Arabic is easy. Sheikh Saleh Fawzan's Arabic is easy. And books on different sciences, fiqh, hadith, tafsir, etc. What's the best way to benefit from the different shuruh on a metin? Should we read them before studying the metin, while studying, or after? As for some different books on different sciences, then Sheikh Uthaymeen has anything you want. If you're looking for something easy, Sheikh Uthaymeen has a book in any subject you want. Rahimahullah. What is the best way to benefit from different shuruh on a metin? Should we read them before? You should understand the metin first. Sometimes that requires you to look at the sharh, the explanation, but first understand the metin. Get a concept of what's even being talked about in general, and then go into the metin. And Allah knows best. That's my take. Fikum barakallah. I see there's some questions. Let me see. Is there benefit in memorizing sections of Nahu books? Of course. It helps you recall the rule when you want. But if you don't understand Arabic, then there's no benefit, not in my opinion. But if you understand Arabic, then it definitely helps. Child upbringing, man, I have one son, and I'm the worst parent. I don't have any advice. I need advice. I need someone to give me a talk on that. How to balance discipline and mercy towards children. Same thing. I need somebody to tell me that. Reliable online Quran teachers have no idea how to gain barakah in your time. Obedience to Allah. Obedience to Allah. Living in Kuwait. We talked about that already. So let's see here. Can you do a video explaining how to look up meanings for words in the Arabic dictionary? I bought an Oxford dictionary which translates words in both ways from Arabic, English, and vice versa. I don't find it useful at all. Maybe, inshallah. There's a few brothers out there that did the Hans Ware dictionary. Hans Ware is a tremendous dictionary. Even if you understand Arabic, like, I understand Arabic, I read the book, I understand what the Sheikh is saying, but if I'm going to translate it, wallah, he brings so many different synonyms for the same word, which give you a different color or shade of the different flavor of the word, that it's so beneficial to the Hans Ware dictionary is a beast. I'm connected to Brixton Masjid via Abu Usama. Yeah, but Abu Usama, I believe, is in Leicester or somewhere. So the brother I know there is Ayub. He does the audios. And I know the Imam. Muharram Sumich, I believe. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You want to come in, Muharram, and benefit something? Click on this link here or cut and paste it. It's at the top of the chat. And you can come on in if you want, man. Muharram is a brother I've known for almost 20 years now, mashallah. I would say the Medina course is a really good start. If you have a teacher, then Medina books are great. A lot of people, I get the question, if you go through the comments on my channel, you'll see I finished Medina books, all three of them. I finished 2 Medina books, and I went through Qatr al-Nada. I studied Ajrumiya with this person and that. Listen, if you went through book 1 of Medina books properly, and you did the side books, and you did that program properly, you can now understand Arabic. You know everything? No, but you can understand Arabic enough. When the Arabic program in the University of Medina is 2 years. If you start from scratch. The first semester is book 1. The second semester is book 2. The third semester and the fourth semester are in book 3. Book 3 is really, it used to be 3 and 4. Now they just made it into one book. But book 1 is the first semester. Book 2 is the second. At the end of the first semester, those students are already sitting in the masjids benefiting from Sheikh Abdul Muhsin, from Sheikh Suleiman, from Sheikh Abdul Razak, from Sheikh whoever it might be. They're benefiting from it. So when you say I went through all 3 Medina books, but I still don't speak Arabic, I still don't read books, then that lets me know there was something wrong there. There was something wrong there. Right? Something is seriously wrong. Right? How do you get into reading books? What's the best way? Start little by little. Every time I try something, the dunya takes me away. Man, shut your phone off. Find your room. I'm going to be busy. I'm going to do this and just read. Start out. Give yourself a time or a number of pages. I'm going to read 15 minutes. You can get 15 minutes from your wife and kids, man, or your husband and your kids, whoever it might be. Or I'm going to read 5 pages. I'm going to read 3 pages. Right? Whatever the case might be. And then just once that habit's there, just build up on it. Of course, everything is better if it's done consistency, even if it's little, as the Prophet ﷺ said. Wa iyyakum ya habibi. Okay, I've been following the channel IIT. It has been very beneficial. May Allah reward you for recommending it. What is IIT? Best way to teach children Arabic. Immerse them in it. Get some Arabic cartoons. You know, when we first moved here, Muawiyah was 4 years old, and we bought him like Ice Age, but it's mudablaj, meaning it's voiceover, whatever you want to call it, dubbed voiceover, where it was in Arabic. And on a DVD, you could choose English or Arabic. So we used to let him watch it once in English so that he would know what happened with the movie. He would know what they said and what went on and all that, because kids pick up quick. And then after that, no, just watch the Arabic of the thing. And it'll in the generalness of what happened, even though he's not going to remember all the specifics, the generals of what happened will take over in Arabic, and eventually the specifics will fill in. Yeah, schedule is important, of course. Muharram schedule is important. But the best way to teach children is immerse them and teach them the Quran. You'll be surprised that a kid who memorized the Quran, even in a non-Arabic environment, you'll be surprised how much Arabic he knows when he finishes memorizing or when he gets a big portion. Medina books don't have enough vocabulary, of course. Sahih, I must say, someone needs to guide you through it. Also, a really good combination is the book Arabiyyat Bayna Yadik. Of course. Oh, Islamic University of Texas, Islamic Institute of Texas, of course. Yeah, Brother Elir. May Allah reward him. Brother Elir. Everyone should do that. Islamic Institute of Texas. It's not university, but institute. That's why he said IIT. Islamic Institute of Texas. Everyone. The only problem is it's not very intensive. You know, it's spaced out because the brother has other responsibilities. But for example, like you said, they taught sarf, they taught nahu, then they taught sarf, or they taught sarf and then they taught nahu. I don't remember. I think sarf, then nahu. Now they're doing hadith. So if you just join now, there's already 50, 60 classes you're behind. So you could make it intensive on yourself by doing something every day. Is it possible to send Islamic books from Kuwait to Europe? I'm sure somebody does it. I don't ship books. We translate. For example, when we printed this book, we printed 3,000 copies. We sent 1,000 to the UK, and the brother Ayub, spread them throughout different communities in different cities, different masajid, and we sent 2,000 to America, right? And they're just now getting ready to start being distributed in America because the shipping took a while for us to get it there, and the winter holidays, all that silly stuff. So when we ship books like that, we ship them. As far as just mailing and shipping stuff periodically, you got to find a bookstore or somebody who's willing to do that. It'll take me too much away from what I do. What movies and cartoons do you recommend? Because a lot of shows nowadays contain haram, and I don't know any which doesn't contain music. Does Donna and what's that? Has music? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Donna and Azuz?
Yeah.
Muawiyah says it has music. You can find stuff on YouTube. There's like My Love for Quran or something like that, or Arabic stories.
Those things that you watch.
Yeah. There's something called like My Love for Quran or Arabic stories or something on YouTube. I don't remember it exactly, but they have nice cartoons with religious underlying, or the purpose is religious character and building, and they don't have music. Unfortunately, you're not going to pretty much find anything that's completely free from all these harams. But you have a choice. You can tell your kid the music is haram, and when music comes on blasting, turn it down. Right? You just have to teach them. Or they don't know Arabic, and then they still hear music in the grocery store anyway. I'm not saying let them listen to music. I'm not saying that. But Keep up the good work, bringing dawah to the world. May Allah increase your channel, increase your good. Ameen, ameen. Jazakallah khairan. I answered all my questions from YouTube. I answered everyone's questions from here, as far as I know. Like I said, here's the thing. I'll be on here just a few more minutes. If there's anyone who has any questions about living in Kuwait, about learning Arabic language, about building their library, what books are good for this or that. A lot of things like what movies and cartoons do you recommend? You know, in actuality, you don't necessarily recommend any. Allah musta'an. However, you know, like I said, if you're willing to put up with some of the haram for a maybe greater goal, then find something that's kind of wholesome. You know, for example, when we first moved here, Little House on the Prairie used to come on the Kuwaiti channel every night, and at the bottom, the Arabic would be in English audio, but at the bottom it would be in Arabic. We used to see Little House on the Prairie, and there was the other one. Man, I can't remember, with John Boy and all them. I can't remember what it was called now. Anyway, those old, you can find something, you know, that has somewhat of a wholesome thing, even, you know, if it has a little bit of music. Like Little House on the Prairie had a little bit of music, but it wasn't, you know, filthy, you know, sexual, drugs and killing and all that stuff. And it was just a musical in the background and the intros, or maybe when there was some suspense, but you were able to pick up some Arabic from it and, you know, just try to shut it out. There's a difference between listening to music and hearing music. And I'm not saying go purposefully turn something on that has music. That might include listening, but there's a difference between hearing music and listening. The Waltons, thank you. Thank you so much, man. What books on fiqh do you recommend? For a beginner, Al-Fiqh al-Muyassar. Or if you want something a little shorter and more hadith based, maybe, if you want to say that, then Manhaj al-Salikin of As-Sa'di. What fiqh book do you recommend for, I would say, for a beginner? Manhaj al-Salikin of As-Sa'di, and it's translated called The Path of the Wayfarer, I think, and Al-Fiqh al-Muyassar. The Waltons, don't forget to hit the like button. Yeah, don't forget to hit the like button for us. Not that I need the likes. I don't care about that. But every time you like one of our videos or leave a comment on one of our videos, then that makes YouTube know that there's some benefit in this. Let's push it to other people's channels who may not know about this channel. And then other people do it. Many people text me all the time. Man, I just found your channel. My channel's been there for 10 years. Right? And I've been teaching the Arabic on it for at least 5 or so. Right? And it's like, you know, oh man, I wish I'd have known about this before. Well, if you hit the like button, if you leave a comment, if you share it and take the link and put it in WhatsApp and say, here's a good channel, man, with good stuff on it, then this lets people know, this lets YouTube know to share it with more people, and more people can find it. I don't care how many likes I get. I just want to spread the, you know, I want to spread the information. Can you populate a library on the inception of the Arabic all the way up to Alfiya if possible? Populate a video library on the inception of the Arabic. Basically, you mean like something starting at Alif Bata all the way up to teaching Alfiya? Well, the problem with that is if you could explain it maybe a little bit more, what you mean, Wildflower. But I would say, because there's no need to study Alfiya in English. If you can understand, if you're ready to study Alfiya, you know Arabic. Simple. If you're ready to study Ajrumiya, you know Arabic. There's no need for it to be in English. Do you have an Arabic Institute? No, I have my channel, which has thousands of videos. If you want to start with the Matun Talib al-Ilm series, there's 250 videos in that series where we read the beginner book, which has to do with the adhkar and adab of the Muslim needs day and night. We read and we go through that 200 and some hadith in like 50 videos. And then we read the Matun Talib al-Ilm level 1, which is Nawaqid al-Islam, Qawaid al-Arba, Thalathatul Usul, and al-Arba'in an-Nawawiyya, word for word. We go through that with mentioning some grammar rules along the way. And then after that, we read an explanation of Nawaqid al-Islam, an explanation of Qawaid al-Arba, an explanation of Thalathatul Usul, and an explanation of al-Arba'in an-Nawawiyya. And with that, we have like 248 videos in there. We have videos, 60 videos, really 32 videos from Al-Qira'at al-Rashida, but it's like 60 videos if you count the exercise. We got, 50 some videos in the Nahul Wadi if you want to get used to some grammar. We got a 40 some videos in the reading of the hadith. So if you want to pick up vocabulary, then my channel has a lot of benefit. What are the best Islamic institutes in Kuwait you recommend that provides scholarship like Medina, and what kuliya do they have? There is no, that doesn't exist in Kuwait. There's Kuwait University. Islamically, Kuwait University has an Islamic section, but you cannot join Kuwait University if you've been out of high school longer than 2 years. And they have hadith, and they have tafsir, and they have Arabic, and they have Sharia. They have all the kuliyat. But the only one other than Islamic institutes, there really isn't that. We sit in the masajid and we benefit from the mashayikh. Like a series, a walkthrough, possibly. Virtually navigate to map out the language more specifically, maybe. I really wish you complete the series on Al-Qira'at al-Rashida. I want to complete the series on Al-Qira'at al-Rashida, but the problem is I don't want to do the second book, the second part, the same way I did the first part. I want the students to have to come up a level. There's no sense in reading another 30 stories on the same level. You already got 30 stories. If you need me to do the next 30 stories the same way I did the first 30, that means you haven't mastered the first 30, because there's enough vocabulary and enough information given in those lessons that if you really pay attention and you really use your dictionary and you really take notes, you should now be able to enter into book 2 almost on your own. Right? And so even if I did level 2, I want to do it on a higher level, and I just haven't figured out what that higher level is yet. So that's my problem. That's why I haven't done it. My man Abu Tamim didn't come visit me today, mashallah. He's probably busy. For self-studies with some aid, of course. The problem is, like I said, the amount of vocabulary words that you have gotten from Al-Qira'at al-Rashida, book 1, is so much, with the mention of grammar here and there, easy, basic grammar that you need. And if you need more grammar and you need it in English, we did access to Quranic Arabic in 40-some videos. I think 49 videos. That's an excellent resource, especially with Ramadan coming up. Access to Quranic Arabic, the PDFs. I have a channel inside the description of most of the first videos in a playlist. It's called Learn Arabic Through Reading Resources or something like that, right? It's a blog. There's all the books that we have taught on our channel, that they're on there, where you can find the PDFs of those books. And the problem is, someone asked me today, am I going to do levels 2, 3, and 4 of the Matun Talib al-Ilm series? When's it going to stop? I'm just going to keep translating everything forever? No, the people got to get out of that translation phase. Right? We got to get out of that where we're just now entering into it ourselves. And so in my mind, and I could be wrong, with the 500, 600, or 1,000, whatever, how many videos are on our channel, if the people went through them, then they would be able to enter into the Arabic on their own with the dictionary, and they wouldn't need someone to hold their hand through it, and they could get away from the translation. And if they, well, I want this book, I don't want that book, well, then that's on you. Now you're just being picky, right? Is your conversion story available on your channel? I don't remember seeing it. No, it's boring. If not, why not make one? Because it's boring. There's no benefit to it. There's too many other better stories than mine out there. That's Kuwait, mashallah. Mashallah. That's Kuwait skyline. Anyway, we'll conclude here. No one else is asking anything, and I answered everything from YouTube. Let me see here real quick. Just see if I'm getting anything from anybody else. Nope. So with that, we'll conclude, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan, is the brother or sister, whoever that was up here. Someone's father 5. Someone's father 05. Don't forget the like button. I appreciate that. Whether it be on Facebook, whether it be on YouTube, leave a comment, leave this and that. That allows these Facebook, YouTube, and all them to see that there's benefit in this channel, in this page, and they share it with others. Jazakumullah khairan. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Oh, hold on. Somebody got me at the last minute, huh? We should always be challenging ourselves. If you aren't being challenged and you're not doing it right, of course. And this is why I said, and I picked it up from someone else, that you should have 3 levels of things that you're reading. You should be reading something below your level, something which is easy, right? A little kid's book, for example. See John Run, see Jane Hop, see Dog Flip, whatever. Something easy. And you should be reading something on your level, right? And then you should be reading something above your level. By reading something below your level, you are taking a break, you're reviewing, and you're building your confidence. Because, yeah, I read this, man. I remember when I couldn't read this no more, man. Nawaqid al-Islam used to be hard, man, right? And now I can read this like it ain't nothing, man, right? And then you read something on your level, like Thalathatul Usul, right? As an example, Kitab al-Tawheed, al-Wasatiyya, whatever's on your level. And then this is building you, and this is giving you the groundwork you need. And then you read something above your level, because it makes you know that there's more out there. You don't ever become this point where, yeah, I'm a sheikh. You got something that's above your level, and and it gives you more to shoot for and aim for. Someone's father 05 says, brother, yeah, Jazakallah. I should have known from father, but sometimes a woman might use her husband or brother's account, so I didn't want to be disrespectful, but someone's father should be a brother, right? Should we write down every new vocabulary we come across while reading, or should we rely on repetition? As I said, rely on repetition. Rely on repetition, and when you look it up in your dictionary, put a line on it. You look it up again, and you see that you put a line on it previously, put another line on it. You look it up again, you see you put 2 lines on it, put a star next to it. You look it up again, you see you got 2 lines and a star. You say, and I'm not going nowhere unless I understand this word, because this word's important to me. And that's what you do. Have you published any books, meaning translations? Yes. I asked you to give me that book, and I got one right here. All these right here are books that we printed and translated. This one's new, just hit the United States this week, and it's going to be announced in a couple days, inshallah. 72 questions and answers regarding the biography of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Very beneficial book. The dua that is not rejected by Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr, right? That's the original book right there, the Arabic where I translated from. That's the English inside. This one that we just mentioned. Wow, we put this book back, huh? This one, 100 and some pages. It's also a bigger book, as you can see the size of it. I didn't translate this one, but it's one of the ones that we published. I did the formatting and editing. Sifat Ibad al-Rahman by Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr. I translated half of this one, the easiest method of memorizing the Noble Quran and text for the student of knowledge. Questions and answers for the youth, which are indispensable to the elders, Arabic, English with the vowels. Adhkar after the obligatory salat, along with their explanations. We have on a playlist on my channel, we have a playlist about book reviews. All these are in there. Surrendering to the Sharia. This is actually just the introduction of Sifat al-Salat al-Nabi by Sheikh al-Albani. We retranslated some sections of it and added Arabic for the phrases and stuff in there due to the importance of the introduction of that book. This is Hayal al-Falah, Come to Success, 40 Benefits from the Virtues of Congregational Salat. Virtues of the Four Statements, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, by Sheikh Abdul Razak. Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun, the tafsir and meanings of that. Right. Min Huquq al-Nabi, from the rights of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Summarized rulings of the Islamic funeral by Sheikh Saleh al-Fawzan. This is not my translation, but I did do the editing and stuff for it. This is an explanation of I don't want to say dumbed down, but a simplified version of Thalathatul Usul. It has an explanation by Sheikh Abdul Razak. It's written, for the layman, like illiterate people. Thalathatul Usul, and Sheikh Abdul Razak did an explanation. And in this one, I did not translate either, but I helped with the formatting and editing. Is Jaddid Ahdika bi La ilaha illallah, renew your covenant with the statement La ilaha illallah. So those are the books that we have published, and we got more on the way, inshallah. 1 second. Where can we buy? Where are you located at? SM, where are you located at? In fact, I missed it. If you were here on this with me and you didn't join Sheikh Muhammad al-Maliki talking about the life of Sheikh Saleh al-Luhaydan, then you should go to his channel, Sheikh Muhammad al-Maliki on YouTube. And he did tonight. I didn't even realize he started at the same time we started it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have did this live. He did a biography of Sheikh Saleh al-Luhaydan, who just passed away, rahimahullah. So go check that out if you haven't already. Right. Where can you buy them in the UK? Talk to the brother Ayub in Brixton, although he may only have 3 or 4 of them. Some of them are older, like 5, 6 years old, and we don't have many copies anymore. But there are a few that are available in the UK right now through Brixton Masjid. If you talk to Ayub, who's in charge of the audio, visual editing of the videos and their channel and stuff, then he's the one who has them. Zadakallahu al-khair wa yakum ya habibi. Inshallah, that's it. No more. That's it. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.